Yes, so just like the other track events, or the other shorter track events, up to 400 metres, we will have athletes going through only based on times rather than positions, so it'll be 14 based on times across all three of the heats, and they will go through to the semi-finals, where athletes have been seeded and are already waiting to join them. And they include Liam Marvin Bonavacia, Alexander Doom, Charlie Dobson. So, having a look at this first lineup, going through Zoltan Vol, Jonathan Sakur, 2018 4x4 champion. Edoardo Scotti, though, got Italy a silver last night in the mixed relay, of course. Always a fantastic relay runner to watch. Generally very exciting the way he gives lots of energy to the one-lap race. Kershak and O'Donnell, the champion last night for Ireland, along with Maudsley, Adeleke and Barr. Karol Zalewski, disappointment for him at the Polish quartet, but it's a really, Poland in terms of 4x4 relay running has moved on a little bit since the likes of Justyna Svitiotic and Ida Blomgart-Witan were in their prime. But still, he's an Olympic champion. And Ricky Petricciani, he got the silver behind Matthew Hudson-Smith 2 years ago in Munich. Hudson-Smith choosing to focus on the Paris Olympic Games this year. Petricciani, I think, would do well to get on the podium once again, but certainly has an opportunity to do so. Not quite as quick this year as his 45.02 personal best. 45.95 for the 23-year-old. That's one reason, of course, why he's not seeded as one of the top athletes and has to take part in this heat. He goes on the inside, then it's Zalewski, Andon, O'Donnell, who I'm sure had a late night last night, Kershak, Scotti, Sakur and Val. First heat of the men's 400 metres. Well, it was a late finish to the programme yesterday evening, but just imagine the buzz that Chris O'Donnell would have had. Incredible performance for Ireland, but his individual campaign now gets underway. Going nicely there in the centre. Also going well on the outside. Sakur of Belgium, who won that relay title in Berlin with the three Borlée brothers. Zalewski now having a strong race. Can he hold on in the closing stages? Sakur also fighting. Andon is there. Scotty's going to come in second place behind Jonathan Sakur of Belgium. 45.50 showing on the clock here, and Sakur, given the 31-degree heat, doesn't look to be perspiring or out of breath too much compared to Scotty, who was closing fast down that home straight, 0.09 of a second behind Theo Andon in third. So these athletes are laying down a marker to the next two heats that are to come. There are 14 spots available to join those that are already seeded through to the semi-finals.
So let's look at it again off the final bend, and at this stage it's Zalewski who's running very well in lane 3, coming into the home straight very strongly, and he's just ahead at the moment, but running very well on the outside lanes. It's Sakur and Scotty coming through strongly as Zalewski ties up quite badly over the final 50 metres, having started so well, but a much better paced race from Jonathan Sakur out in lane 8, followed home by that man who won the silver medal last night, as Alex was saying, Edoardo Scotti.
Yeah, Sakur, the heat winner there. Belgium ending up just outside of the medals last night, of course. Femke Bol closing very, very quickly on those leading athletes, but gladly, as far as the Irish are concerned, not quickly enough. The gap was just too large, and Ireland, they really were so excited before that race. That was their big shot. Chris O'Donnell looking a little bit frustrated there. I wonder what the issue was. Maybe he's just trying to have a clear conversation over the noise inside the stadium. Anyway, confirmed result of this first heat. Sakur, Scotty from Anda, O'Donnell also in a good position with 2 more heats to come.
So now, the second heat of the men's 400 metres. Quite a loaded heat. Among the men we'll be looking at, of course, Alex Haydock-Wilson. He's in lane 6. So very good German. Koch, former European under-20 medalist. Lionel Spitz as well. So on the outside. Oh, we missed Mark Koch and we missed Patrick Sorm. But Riccardo Melli presented to the crowd and getting plenty of cheers. There's Alex Haydock-Wilson, stalwart of recent British relay teams. Really gives everything on the big occasion. Big crowds of British athletic supporters there, just cheering him. Bronze medalist 2 years ago. El Khatib of Portugal. Spitz, the effervescent Lionel Spitz, and he's got his own crowd of supporters with him. Then on the inside, Simon Brujana of Slovak Republic. Second heat of the men's 400 metres, first round. From the inside, Brujana, Slovak Republic, Spitz, Switzerland, El Khatib, Portugal, Janovic, Serbia, Haydock-Wilson, Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Melli, Italy, Sorm, Czechia, and Koch of Germany. Nobody in this field has broken 45 seconds so far this year. And to look out for, I think, is Alex Haydock-Wilson, bronze medalist 2 years ago in Munich. So they go into the shade, but at this stage, Haydock-Wilson running very, very well. He's almost up on Melli. Melli now starting to pull away. Also, Lionel Spitz, as we might have imagined, doing very well. Close to 45 seconds, his personal best. The Swiss athlete in lane 3. But it's Haydock-Wilson now heading to the front. 3 lanes to his inside. It's Lionel Spitz coming off the bend very, very well indeed. Now starting to pull away from the rest.
El Khatib comes through strongly, but victory goes to Lionel Spitz with 45.37.
Lionel Spitz has been a fantastic relay runner for the Swiss quartet over the last few years. Another who's showing individual quality. What a great margin of victory. It looked like at one point El Khatib closing him down, but still over 0.4 of a second. Spitz 45.37 again, putting himself to the top of the standings for the athletes who are trying to advance through to the semis, all based on time. Spitz, Sakur, Scotty, Anda, O'Donnell. There as it stands, 1 more heat to go, with some quite stylish sunglasses on as well. Let's have another look here. So you've got Spitz in the red and black of Switzerland, Alex Haydock-Wilson to his outside, El Khatib of Portugal. What a fantastic final 100 metres there. 45.37 trackside. But Spitz really emerging as a senior contender, much like Petrucciani did when he won the silver medal 2 years ago.
Well, a good strong run there from El Khatib in second place, just to Spitz's inside to come through very strongly. Alex Haydock-Wilson, a somewhat disappointing run from the Briton, bearing in mind that over the years he's run so well at major championships and did get a bronze 2 years ago. Nice sporting hug between the winner, Lionel Spitz, and the man who finished second, Elmar El Khatib. Koch. Here I have to wait and see whether his performance was good enough to see him through. 14 men to go through. So we know Lionel Spitz and El Khatib can't be ousted from the semi-finals. Alex Haydock-Wilson, probably that's good enough, despite the fact that it was a rather modest run by his standards.
As we get ready for this third and final heat of the men's 400 metres.
And as soon as this has been completed, well, we'll jump in literally and metaphorically, because the women's heptathlon will get underway for the second day, and this is the last men's track action of the morning.
That's right, yes. So just having a look along these athletes quite quickly. There is Dylan Borlée in the centre, having a little drink before the race gets underway, because it's 32 degrees here inside the Stadio Olimpico. You can see Borlée half second off his personal best of 45.09 this year. Maybe a little bit surprised that he's not among the fastest seeded athletes, with 14 looking to join. This is Sombe of France. And again, perhaps he'd like to go closer to that sub 46 personal best. A lot of athletes here who've had relay success in the last few years. Dylan Borlée has 8 European medals, indoors and out indeed. And Luca Cito, part of the quartet that won that silver in the mixed relay, along with Scotty, Pollinari and Mangione behind the victorious Irish. Chris O'Donnell, part of that team, was fourth in his heat, which was the first of these 3 heats. And he's still in a good position at this moment in time. So Cito, Sombe, Borlée, Furlan, Nielsen, Maslach and Grimerud. Can't believe we quickly skipped so quickly through Pavel Maslach. 6 times a champion across European and world indoors, and that's just individually. Obviously in the later years of his career, but still a fantastic athlete and servant for his country. Rock Furlan going well in the bright green of Slovenia, someone who's improved this year, won the Balkan title in Turkey in May, setting a personal best of 45.69. And on his outside, you've got Gustav Lundholm Nielsen, who has 17 Danish national titles across indoors and out. Dylan Borlée with a bit of work to do here as the crowd makes a noise for Luca Cito. Look at this margin down the home straight. Furlan in second. Sombe trying to come through on him, though. Nice margin that Cito holds, 45.12 on the clock. And he's pretty happy with that. Sombe had to work very hard to get into contention, but did manage to do it. So Cito's time 2.5 tenths faster than Spitz from the previous heat.
And a personal best as well by 23 hundredths as well for Cito. I'm sure inspired as the lead-off man on that Italian mixed relay team last night. He's come here in great form. Luca Cito, just 21 years of age, and he could well be a contender for honours next year at the European Athletics Under-23 Championships when we're off to Bergen in Norway. As we look at the third and final heat in the men's 400 metres, Cito comes off the bend with quite a considerable advantage over the chasers. Furlan running well behind him as well, and he'll have run fairly close to his personal best, even though he tied up a little bit in the final 20 metres. But there was no doubting at all that it was Sito, even easing up and able to look around over the final 20 metres. And as soon as he got across the line, he could see the clock, started celebrating. Well, you do think that maybe for somebody like Sito and Scotty, who we saw in the previous heat, the Italian record of Davide Ray, the only man ever to have run under 45 seconds as far as the Italians are concerned, could well be within their grasp.
Can tell you that we know that Chris O'Donnell has secured his passage with that 45.69 fourth place in the first heat. Looks like Alex Haydock-Wilson is out though with 46.04. Does appear to be 14 men ahead of him. Petrucciani, the silver medalist from Munich, actually the slowest of those athletes. I hate to say slowest when he's run sub 46 seconds, but that's the case. It very, very close, going down to thousandth of a second between 13th and 14th there overall.
And alongside me, just coming in to provide expert analysis on the heptathlon long jump, is Jazz Sawyers. But Jazz, I thought I'd just ask you there. I mean, you know Alex Haydock-Wilson pretty well, and we've got a huge amount of British viewers. What's your thoughts on that race from Alex? A little bit disappointing, I'd say.
I think both we and he would have wanted a little bit more, especially, you know, there he's just missed out on a place in the semi-final, whereas last time we saw him in the bronze medal position. However, I know a lot of 400-meter runners are taking this year slowly. They're looking at it thinking, okay, I've got a lot of 400s to run if I include all the relays. I've got trials, which are going to be tough to get through. So perhaps their training is geared more towards the summer.
Well, we are back on the track, yes, as dust comes down a little prematurely here in Rome, but that's because the clouds, the thunder clouds gathering up really ominously, if you could see them. This is the first of 3 men's 400-meter semi-finals. First 2 go through by right to the final with 2 non-automatic qualifiers. And they promise to be very, very competitive, these. There is Ingvaldsson. He's perhaps the favourite here. He goes in lane 6, the Norwegian. 6th in Budapest last year at the World Championships. He's only 21. He's a huge talent. That's Theo Andon on France. Silver medalist in the 4x400 metres last year in Budapest. Trained and raced in Australia earlier on this year. 45.65 in his heat. Was close to his season's best. In 8 inside him, Attila Molnar of Hungary. 5th at the World Indoors in Glasgow. Had a great time up in Scotland. The season's best in Ostrava 12 days ago, where he finished 4th in 45.45. But he's a 44.8 performer. Alexander Pororilko, 7 times Ukraine champion. Didn't have to run the heats yesterday, which several of these men did on the inner lanes. That's a huge advantage for him. His best 44.94. And that makes him one of the quickest Europeans this year, 4th ranked. There is Ingvaldsson, only 7th in Oslo 10 days ago in 45.4, but he didn't run the heats either, so he comes into this fresh, the Norwegian in 6. Luca Sito goes in 5 for Italy. Listen to that roar. Personal best in his heat, the 21-year-old, 45.12. How much money, and he's going sub 45 here from lane 5. Jonathan Sakur of Belgium goes in 4. Well, 2 world indoor gold medalists. He had an amazing indoor season. He really stepped up, took the world indoor title at 4x400 meters along with his teammates, and retained it from 2022. And the Swiss Ricky Petrucciano, silver medalist 2 years ago in Munich, former footballer. Ran 45.9 in his heat. By the way, Sakur in 4 had to run in the heats as well. And Rok Furlan of Slovenia, great first name, Rok. Personal best in his heat yesterday, 45.52. But a few of these lads come into this race on relatively tired legs. I'm astonished at the degree of a disadvantage they have to try and overcome with the race already under their belts in the last 24 hours. First 2, remember, is tough. No room for much error. Rok Furlan of Slovenia in 2. Petrucciano of Switzerland in 3. Sakur, Belgium 4. Sito, the Italian, in 5. Listen for him if the roar, if he goes well, from 5. Ingvaldsson, Norway 6. Pororilko, Ukraine 7. Molnar, Hungary 8. And Andon of France on the outside in lane 9 in that blue French strip. They've gone off fairly evenly. It does look like the Italian Sito in 5 has gone off perhaps the quickest, making up a bit of ground on Ingvaldsen. The Norwegian, though, now in the central picture in that red and blue strip, getting into his running. The Norwegians already with a couple of great goals from these championships. Remember, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, the goal in the 5,000 last night, and Grovdal winning the half marathon this morning. But they come into the straight, and Ingvaldsen's got them some running to do, the young Norwegian. Sito going brilliantly and pulling clear. Watch the clock. Inside him, Sakura, Belgium in 4. Looking strong, holding on. Under pressure from the Hungarian. And the time, as I said, watch for sub-45. Boom! There it is, 44.76. That's the fourth fastest time in Europe this year. It's like a virus going through the Italian team. The success is being passed like a baton from man to man, woman to woman. It's quite astonishing. That is a massive personal best by the youngster Luca Sito. Absolutely brilliant, and a national record for the Italian to boot. Ingvaldsen, 45.37. They're back in 4th place, a season's best for him. As for Molnar, the Hungarian, in 3rd. But wow, we knew he was in great form. He ran a personal best in his heat last night. Tired legs this evening, and yet 44.7. I can't believe it.
Yes, it was a record held by Davide Ray, who's been a great performer at European Championships over the years. But absolutely right, Tim, the motivation that would come from stepping inside this stadium, having already won a medal, of course, in the mixed relay. And that really started everything off, of course. It was a great moment. But Luca Sito, one of the great celebrations as well, like we saw with Lazrat Klas in the heptathlon, just letting the emotion out as he came across the line. Absolutely fantastic, and maybe he could just win a medal in the final.
Confirmation of that new Italian record, 44.75 for Luca Sito. He and Jonathan Sakura, Belgium, clocking their spots in the final. 44.99 for Sakura. The rest will have to wait and see. Molnar 3rd, 45.04. May get one of those non-automatic qualifying spots, but there's only 2. Like I said, very little room for error. 2 semis to come.
Well, I can tell you that performance by Luca Sito, 44.75, was the 2nd fastest ever in a European Athletics Championship semi-final. Only ever faster athlete, Jonathan Borlée of Belgium in 2010 with 44.71. Of course, his brother Dylan involved in this 2nd semi-final that is about to be introduced here in Rome. That big personal best, though, makes you wonder just what could be possible from this second lot of athletes. Well, no Italian here, but we will see Edoardo Scotti in the 3rd semi-final, also part of that mixed relay medal-winning quartet. This is Lionel Spitz. His nickname is the Babyface Killer. It actually started when he gave himself that name rather than writing himself a full bio for the Swiss Athletics website because he was too lazy at the time, but it has very much stuck. Charlie Dobson, part of the gold medal winning quartet 2 years ago in Munich, but a fantastic time. 44.46 recently in Savona in Italy, when he even ran over a puddle. There is Dylan Borlée, as mentioned, and so successful as a quartet, the Belgians, but he would like something individually as well. Has to make it through to the final first. This is the best in the heat for him, in fact. 45.62. João Coelho of Portugal, Mediterranean Games winner and European Games silver medalist. This is John-Paul Bredal of Germany. So personal best for him last year, sub 45 seconds, just by 0.04 of a second. That was in Berlin last summer. This is David Sombre of France, world 4x4 silver medalist with a PB of 45.32. Difficult race there for Inge Valdsen of Norway in the previous semi-final. What about Andreas Grimerud? He recently went sub 46 for the first time. And Gustav Lindholm Nielsen, who has 17 national titles across indoors and out, and he looks pumped up and ready for this. So as far as the semi-finals have been concerned, it's been pretty straightforward for qualifying conditions, at least in terms of numbers. 2+2 going through to the final. First 2 across the line, and then 2-time qualifiers from 3 semi-finals. 2+2 I would call Noah's Ark qualifying conditions. Nielsen, Grimerud, Somb, Bredau, Coelho, Borlée, Dobson and Spitz. I think of Elson watching on. So really excited to see Charlie Dobson in action. He has had his fair share of injuries over the last few years, but that race in Savona was fantastic. And he's been saying that former British record holder Ewan Thomas actually convinced him that the 400 metres could be his distance. And certainly, when fit, capable of putting in a ferocious performance. The commentator in Savona was calling him the Ginger Ninja, while getting very excited in Italian during that race. But Dobson here, just about shading it. We can see Bredau in the gold vest of Germany, just rocking from side to side now. Dobson starting to come through. Coelho fighting further back with Spitz, but Dobson pulls out a good margin of victory ahead of Bredau in the end. 44.65, easing up across the line to be 0.2 of a second off that incredible recent lifetime best, Tim.
Wow, is the word that comes to mind when I see that from Charlie Dobson. Cantering home in 44.65. He was in an outer lane, he just ran his own race. Didn't need to respond to the baby-faced killer, was it? In the lane outside of the Swiss, Lionel Spitz. That was mighty impressive. Wins by 3 or 4 metres. And frankly, looks like he could have kept going for another couple hundred metres. Just brilliant. He's a big, powerful lad, the Brit. Not a personal best. He's a 44.4 performer, as you said, 3rd fastest in Europe this year. But that is a real statement run for me. And what I like is the fact that he looks to have kept the lid on it a little bit, you know. No massive celebration, glances across there, nice and relaxed. There's plenty more in the tank from the Briton. Good running from the German too there. Good running from Bredau. 45.03 for that critical 2nd place. Guaranteed a place in the final and the season's best for him. But what was it, the Ginger Ninja? I'm thinking...
Oh, the Ginger Ninja.
Ginger Ninja, could have been worse.
Well, anyway, you know, what a time that he recently produced, and you have to consider it so close to Martin Rooney's PB, so close to the old British record of Ewan Thomas, just a 10th off it, but yes, keeping a little bit of powder dry for that final. There's Alexander Doom, the world indoor champion, of course, also winning the men's relay there, but yeah, Tim, another exciting group of athletes, including Alex Haydock-Wilson, who has been brought in as a replacement following the withdrawal of Karol Zalewski.
So the athletes out on the track then for this 3rd and final semi-final of the men's 400 metres. There's Gilles Biron of France, the 29-year-old, former swimmer. Has a bronze medal from the last European Championships in Munich in the 4x400 metres. Alexander Doom, well, the reigning world indoor champion, goes in 5 for Belgium. He's a real force. Very much the favourite in this one, Doom. 44.44 this year. He's the 2nd fastest in Europe and the fastest here, with Matt Hudson-Smith topping the European rankings, but of course giving these championships a miss. El Katiba, Portugal, goes on the outside. He ran 45.8 in his heats. Biron there goes in lane 8. Best of 45.36 this year. That was in Nairobi back in late April, a little while ago now. Manuel Sanders of Germany, season's best on Ostrava 12 days ago, 45.47, and he's a 45.05 man from last year, but good time to go under 45 right now. Lee Marvin Bonavacia of the Netherlands, 8th in the Tokyo Olympic final. He's a great athlete, best of 44.4 from 2021, 45.2 this year. There is Doom, 2 golds from the World Indoor Championships. The individual gold, a fantastic run, one of the shocks of the weekend in Scotland, and the relay gold as well. He's in great form, as I say, 44 in Ostrava. Edoardo Scotti of Italy. Well, not a bad lane draw for him, lane 4. What can we expect from him? personal best goes back to 2020, 45.4 so far this year. Chris O'Donnell goes in lane 3 for Ireland. As a gold from the mixed 4x400 metre relay here is one of those heroes in the green vests a couple of nights ago. Set a season's best in the heats, the man who's at Loughborough University, where Phil and myself and a certain Sedco and Dave Moorcroft and a few others went. And Alex Haydock-Wilson going on the inside for Great Britain. And Haydock-Wilson, that's a late lane change. He's a replacement, I think you could say, Haydock-Wilson there.
Yeah, replace Zalewski.
Haydock-Wilson, 45.08, his best, the 24-year-old. Great carrier of the baton for Great Britain in relays in the past. So, Haydock-Wilson in 1. O'Donnell in 2. Scotty in 3. Doom, the world indoor champion, goes in 5 for Belgium, remember. Bonavacia 6, Sanders 7, Biron 8, El Khatib in 9. Well, already Biron's gone off very fast on the out in the lane 8, up on El Khatib already. Going well, Bonavacia in that orange strip of the Netherlands, 3rd from left. Indeed, he possibly leads at the moment, although Doom in that whitish top of Belgium moving really well in lane 5 at the moment. The stagger unwinding in his favour, and he'll come round into the straight with a slight lead, although Bonavacia has given everything around that bend in those glasses in the orange of the Netherlands. The Italian Scotty's got some work to do at the moment. Great running from Chris O'Donnell in 3rd place at the moment over in lane 3. This is a big win from Doom there. And the clock doesn't stop. It's happened quite a few times in these first 3 days. Really frustrating, but it was a nice win from Doom. Bonavacia, really strong run. He held on well there from lane 6 to take 2nd spot. 44.87 confirmed for Doom. Another clocking way below 45 seconds in these semi-finals. It sets things up absolutely beautifully. And there the 3rd placer in that, or 4th placer in fact, he's in the non-automatic qualifying spot, and he gets it. And you can see that celebration there from Spitz. He's just looking at the places of the athletes out in that final semi-final. 45.70. 45.65 was El Khatib for Portugal, and he was quicker than that, Spitz. So he goes through to the final. And Doom looking nice and controlled here as well. Bonavacia holding his form. Quite a gap back to the rest of them. El Khatib finishing really strongly down the outside, by the way. 45.65 from him. So, Doom, the winner of that 3rd semi-final. Spectacular setup for the final. All 3 semi-final winners looking mighty impressive tonight. Take your pick, the national record of Sito, perhaps the best of them.
So it's time for the final of the men's 400 metres. Some very impressive running in the semi-finals yesterday. Sets up 1 lap of the blue track perfectly for one of these athletes across lanes 2 to 9 to grab a European gold. Lionel Spitz of Switzerland will start in lane number 2. 7th in 2022, a couple of years ago in Munich. 45.28 is what he ran in the semi-final to make this men's 400 metre final. Outside of him, Attila Molnar of Hungary will start in lane number 3, a World Indoor Championship finalist. And 45.04 in the semi-final to make this final. In lane number 4, Jean-Paul Bredout of Germany, a season's best to qualify. Really has dropped down from a 46-second runner a couple of years ago to a 44-point athlete now at his best. In lane number 5, Jonathan Secure of Belgium, a personal best in the semi-finals, 44.99. Dipped under the magical 45-second barrier to qualify for this final and starts in a nice lane of lane 5. In lane number 6, Charlie Dobson of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The quickest ever semi-final time, 44.65, his 2nd quickest ever fourth in the 200 metres a couple of years ago in Munich behind Zarnell Hughes, lines up in lane number 6. A huge roar for Luca Cito of Italy, the youngest in this final, 44.75 in his semi-final. The second fastest to qualify for this final. The Italian will start in 7. Alexandre Doom of Belgium, the world indoor champion, qualified third fastest for this final, 44.87. Both himself and Dobson going through the first 200 metres in their semi-finals in 21.4 seconds. Confident, Limarbin Bonifacia of the Netherlands will go out of lane number 9. A season's best in the semi-final, 45.17. The most experienced athlete in this field. Just missed a medal in Munich 2 years ago. There were 4 sub-45-second clockings in the semi-final to get to this European Championship final, led by Charlie Dobson, who will start in lane number 6. The championship record, 44.52 seconds. Ewan Thomas of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, when he ran to gold in Budapest in 1998. Is it under threat tonight? Will this be the 5th European Championships in a row that Great Britain and Northern Ireland grab gold? Or will Belgium, Italy, or another European nation grab the big G tonight? One lap of Stadio Olimpico, the men's 400-metre final, and there is Charlie Dobson starting in lane number 6. They're called to their blocks. Spitz of Switzerland, Molnar of Hungary, Bredau of Germany, Secure of Belgium. Dobson, the British athlete, goes in 6. Cito of Italy in 7. Doom from Belgium in 8. And Bonifacia of the Netherlands in 9. Noise in the crowd as Luca Cito of Italy settles into his blocks in lane number 7. The youngest athlete in the lineup. 1 lane outside Dobson, the British athlete. There's Dobson on the right of your screen. The men's 400-metre final. So a roar goes out. Cito of Italy moving nicely, but Dobson of Great Britain and Northern Ireland moving down the back straight. Secure of Belgium has pulled back a little bit of a stagger on the British athlete. Molnar of Hungary moving nicely in lane number 3. Cito, the Italian, in 7, moving nicely as well. Round the top bend, this is where you work at 400 metres. Between 200 and 300 metres, Doom of Belgium in lane number 8. Is the Belgian going to swing into the straight with a lead? Yes, he is. Doom leads. Cito in 2nd. Charlie Dobson of Britain pushing in lane number 6. It's between Dobson and Doom. And the gold medal's going to go to Alexandre Doom. 44.16 seconds. Out of lane number 8. The world indoor champion has smashed his lifetime best. Brilliant. The championship record has gone by nearly half a second. Doom strikes gold. Dobson 44.38 for a lifetime best for silver. And Bonifacia 44.88 seconds for bronze. Wow, brilliant running by Alexandre Doom. A championship record.
Not just a championship record, but the 2nd fastest European time ever, just behind Matthew Hudson-Smith's recent European record. I don't think we were expecting that at all. I mean, he's absolutely just flown around the track. And as you say, he really worked that 2nd bend and came home under pressure from Dobson. Dobson, of course, had the race of his life, took several tenths off his personal best to move up into the top 10 European all-time list. And what a magnificent race. From a European perspective, that was the best ever race we've ever seen between Europeans. There's been some fast times when it's been Matthew Hudson-Smith on his own in the United States, the former European record of Thomas Schoenleber at the World Championships, but this was a continental race to savour, and all credit to Alexandre Doom. Just missed out on a medal in the mixed 4x400 metres relay on the opening night, but now it's gold for the Belgian.
Well, he was fabulous indoors and he's super outdoors. as Phil said, the second fastest time by a European ever. It's the fourth fastest time in the world this year. And there is confirmation. CR, championship record for Alexandra Doom. Charlie Dobson of Britain takes the silver. And Netherlands with Bonifacia picks up the bronze. Great race.
Hello, I'm Leonardo Fabri, and you must subscribe to the European Athletics channel, because otherwise I'm gonna fight you.